Imagine a city of unimaginable grandeur, the jewel of two empires standing at the crossroads of East and West. This was Constantinople, once the most powerful and glorious city on earth. Her walls were unmatched, her people rich with culture, her faith unshakable. For over 1,000 years, this city had stood as the heart of both the Roman Empire and later the Byzantine Empire, bridging civilizations. But on May 29, 1453, everything changed forever. The once mighty walls of Constantinople would crumble, and the city that had been the pride of Christian Europe would fall into the hands of the Ottoman Turks. It all began with a man, a conqueror who, unlike any other before him, was determined to reshape the world. His name was Sultan Mehmed II, and his ambition was boundless. He came to the throne with one singular goal: to take Constantinople and secure the final victory of Islam over Christianity. His forces were massive, his resolve ironclad, and he was willing to do whatever it took to bring the Byzantine Empire to its knees. In the process, he would change the course of history, rewriting the destiny of not only the Byzantines, but also that of the world. As the siege began, the fate of Constantinople was sealed. But how did it come to this? The Byzantine Empire had been in decline for centuries, plagued by internal strife, weakened by external invasions, and isolated from the rest of Europe. The once glorious city was now surrounded by enemies on all sides. The Ottomans, led by Mehmed, were closing in, and the mighty city that once controlled the passage between the Mediterranean and the Black Sea was now helpless. Desperation set in. The Byzantine Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos stood in defiance, praying for a miracle that would never come. As Mehmed's army encircled the city, Constantinople's desperate defenders could only watch. The city, once vibrant and filled with trade, culture, and religious significance, was now a shadow of its former self. Inside its walls, the people held on, hoping for reinforcements from Europe. But those hopes slowly dwindled. They were left with only their faith and the knowledge that the Ottomans were a force like no other, disciplined, relentless, and determined. The once strong walls that had withstood the Romans and Crusaders now seemed fragile, unable to fend off the impending doom. The siege lasted for months, but Mehmed was patient. He knew that the longer he kept the city under siege, the weaker it would grow. The Ottomans brought with them massive artillery, including the famous giant cannons that could tear through the ancient walls. The Byzantines' defenses, though formidable in their prime, were no match for the Ottoman artillery. The Byzantines fought bravely, but the fear of inevitable defeat hung in the air. Every day brought new casualties, new suffering, and a realization that no help would come. And then the inevitable happened. On May 29, 1453, after months of battle, the gates of Constantinople finally fell. Mehmed II led his troops into the city, and the Ottoman Empire claimed its prize. The Byzantines, who had fought so valiantly to protect their sacred city, were overwhelmed. The Hagia Sophia, the most important church in the Orthodox Christian world, was transformed into a mosque. Constantinople, the heart of the Christian East, was now the capital of the Ottoman Empire. It was not just a military victory, it was a cultural and religious shift that would echo through history. The fall of Constantinople was a turning point in history. It marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and the beginning of Ottoman dominance in the Eastern Mediterranean. For Europe, it was a devastating blow. Constantinople had long been seen as the gatekeeper of Christianity, and its fall meant that the Ottoman Empire would now control access to Asia Minor, the Balkans, and the Holy Land. The Vatican and the European monarchies were left scrambling, knowing that their influence in the East had been significantly diminished. But what does the fall of Constantinople really represent? It wasn't just the fall of a city, it was the collapse of an entire worldview. Christianity had long been the dominant force in Europe, and the Byzantine Empire was seen as the last bastion of the Roman legacy. With its fall, the Ottomans established a new power dynamic in Europe. They became the new caliphate, a force to be reckoned with. Europe was no longer the center of the world. The Ottoman Empire expanded rapidly, and Islam became the dominant force in the region. The fall of Constantinople also marked the beginning of a new age of exploration. With the Ottomans' control of the Eastern Mediterranean, Europeans were forced to find new trade routes to Asia. This led to the Age of Exploration, with explorers like Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama seeking new paths to the riches of the East. The fall of Constantinople, while tragic for the Byzantines, ignited the European Renaissance, as Europeans sought to reclaim their place in the world. But what about the people of Constantinople? What happened to them? After the fall of the city, Mehmed II allowed the citizens of Constantinople to live in relative peace. Many of the Byzantine survivors were allowed to remain in the city, and the Ottomans sought to preserve the intellectual and cultural treasures of the city. The Hagia Sophia was transformed into a mosque, but the Byzantine heritage was not erased. The city remained a melting pot of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish communities, each contributing to its unique identity. The legacy of the fall of Constantinople is still felt today. The Ottoman Empire would go on to dominate the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe for centuries. The fall of the city marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new world order. The Ottomans would go on to shape the course of history, but they would also face their own struggles and eventual decline. Today, Istanbul, the city that once was Constantinople, stands as a testament to the fusion of cultures and religions, a city that still bears the marks of both the Byzantines and the Ottomans.
Constantinople's fall was not just the end of a city, it was the end of an era, a civilization that once ruled the East. In its place rose the Ottoman Empire, a new world power that would shape the future of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East for centuries. The fall of Constantinople serves as a reminder that empires rise and fall, but history is shaped by the choices made by the men who hold power. The day Constantinople fell was the day the world changed forever.